رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه وذريته أجمعين. اللهم صل على سيدنا ونبينا وشفيعنا وحبيبنا وكريمنا وملجأنا ومأوانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه. I simply want to share with you a statement which has been long overdue, but alhamdulillah, the Rochdale Council of Masajid RCM has finally issued a statement in condemnation of the French government's blasphemy committed against our noble Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. And I will simply wish to share the statement with you, which was issued out yesterday by the Rochdale Council of Masajid. Rochdale Council of Mosques RCM is a representative organization of 15 mosques and Islamic centers in Rochdale, Lancashire, which provides prayer and Islamic teaching services and caters for the religious needs of the town's over 30,000 Muslims. On the 1st of September 2020, the controversial French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo republished deeply offensive and insulting caricatures of our most noble, the last and final Prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is an extremely sensitive and deeply emotional issue for the Muslims. Our beloved, the last and final Prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, means more to us than our lives. Therefore, this incident caused shock, hurt and offence to the Muslims of the UK, Europe and throughout the world. There were unfortunate incidents of violence which took place in France following this republication, just as the initial publication of these offensive caricatures in 2015 by Charlie Hebdo had led to unfortunate incidents of violence. According to media reports, there have been numerous incidents of violence in France since 2015, arising either directly or indirectly from Charlie Hebdo's publication of these offensive caricatures, and as a consequence of which over 250 lives have been lost in France alone. However, not only did the French government fail to condemn these republications by Charlie Hebdo, seemingly in a shocking and deeply disturbing act of defiance to uphold their notion of freedom of expression, the French government took an unprecedented and extremely irresponsible decision of displaying these offensive and insulting caricatures onto government buildings on 21st October 2020. Naturally, this incident caused further upset, offence and feelings of deep hurt and resentment to the Muslims and resulted in widespread condemnation of the French government and its president from Muslim countries throughout the world. This included statements of condemnation from heads of state, as well as campaigns to boycott French products and services and mass demonstrations of outpour of anger of hundreds of thousands of protesters in many Muslim countries. RCM believes the French government's decision to project these offensive caricatures onto government buildings has not only caused deep hurt and offence to the Muslims worldwide, it has also caused the Muslims residing in France and throughout Europe a deep sense of intimidation and harassment on religious grounds, aggravation of deep resentment, ill feeling, and has widened divisions between the French establishment and Muslims of France. RCM condemns this abhorrent act of religious prejudice and Islamophobia by the French government in the name of freedom of expression and stands in solidarity with the Muslims of France. RCM recognizes that freedom of expression is a fundamental and important principle of a democratic society. However, it strongly condemns the use of this notion to conduct blasphemy, to target a sizable minority of Muslims, to incite violence, aggravate resentment, and to cause deep hurt and offense to 1.9 billion Muslims of the world. RCM believes the notion of freedom of expression cannot and must not be used as a tool or as a license to target and launch a hate campaign against a particular group on the basis of their religion, race, ethnicity, and or cultural values. It is very unfortunate that despite receiving widespread condemnation from the governments and masses of Muslim countries, and despite being well aware of the offence, deep hurt and resentment caused to the Muslims throughout the world, the French government and its president have failed to appropriately acknowledge the sentiments of the Muslims and have failed to make an apology for their deplorable actions. In fact, very alarmingly, the French government continues to veer towards a right-wing, oppressive and hostile policies against a sizable Muslim minority of 5 million Muslims. RCM calls upon the French government and its president to unreservedly apologize to the Muslims for allowing these publications and projecting these offensive depictions onto government buildings, and to ensure that such divisive and offensive actions are not repeated and indeed are made unlawful in France. RCM calls upon all Muslims, including yourselves, to continue with the campaign to completely boycott all French products and services until such time as an official apology is made by the French government and its president in this regard. RCM calls upon all Muslim representative organisations in the UK, such as the MCB, the various councils of mosques throughout the country, MINAB, and other such organisations to issue similar statements of condemnation to convey the sentiments and feelings of deep anger and frustration of over 3 million Muslims of the UK. Finally, RCM calls upon all Muslim members of UK Parliament and the House of Lords to raise their voice in the chambers of power and strongly condemn the above-mentioned actions of the French government, and to bring about legislation to ensure that such incidents of dishonouring noble leading religious personalities, in particular our most noble, last and final Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are made unlawful and a criminal offence in the United Kingdom. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to preserve and defend the honour of our most noble Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.